here because several different elected officials and government workers participated in a news conference here on the City Hall steps, perfectly timed for the upcoming elections, to score political points. But they didn't do it at the expense of their opponents. They did it at the expense of the city and the citizens that you all are supposed to represent. Some of the words that were used in some of the news stories: far-right extremists, ugly, angry, groups from outside the city supporting local candidates. I tried calling KABC, I tried calling the Glendale News Press, but they've already had their salacious story and they really don't care about getting a comprehensive view. I'm having to resort to this council meeting as the only public forum where I'm able to get my message out to the citizens of Glendale. I don't support the current school board members or the candidates that they back because they have presided over an inexorable, inexcusable decline in test scores over the last 15 years. Schools are there to give academic excellence to students, and in that realm, they have failed miserably. Me saying that out loud doesn't justify you calling me a right-wing extremist or anti-gay. The school board also voted for a COVID vaccine mandate for employees. As a physician, I respect and safeguard patient autonomy. As elected officials, the school members should maintain the ultimate law of this land, the Constitution, and not violate the 14th Amendment due process rights of their staff. They also mandated the vaccine at the behest of Laura Friedman, who has owned Pfizer stock since she's been a mayor here in Glendale, and who stands to profit when vaccine mandates make sales go up. Me speaking about that out loud doesn't justify you calling me a right-wing extremist or anti-gay. The school board also supports keeping parents in the dark about their children's gender identity. Gender dysphoria is a symptom of different psychiatric conditions: depression, anxiety, personality disorders. Some of these are associated with a higher risk of suicide. A higher risk of suicide is a medical condition that should not be kept from parents. The current board members support the notion of wellness centers in schools to provide gender-affirming care. There is zero data for gender-affirming care in children. European countries have pulled back. The World Health Organization has pulled back, yet our school district is doubling down on candidates like Telly Tse, who has the arrogance and the gall to say that children keep secrets from their parents because the parents are somehow subpar or not trustworthy. This is why I oppose our current school board on medical scientific grounds, and me doing so doesn't justify you calling me a right-wing extremist or anti-gay. Their agenda is also being supported by Anthony Portantino, who's received tens of thousands of dollars from Abbott Pharmaceuticals, which makes puberty blockers. He stands to benefit from this financially. Me calling that out doesn't justify you calling me right-wing extremist or anti-gay. They constantly parade around the same one or two gay former students who hear statements like mine. Me, also a former gay student. My statements completely unrelated to them, but they feel they are being targeted and persecuted. This is textbook paranoia. And paranoia is a symptom of several different psychiatric conditions. There is not an epidemic of anti-gay sentiment. There's an epidemic of mental health problems, and there's an epidemic of exploitation by self-serving, corrupt elected officials who are profiting massively and clinging desperately to their authority 1 month before an election. Me speaking out about this doesn't justify you calling me a right-wing extremist or anti-gay. Many other Glendale citizens, my husband, my sister, my mother, don't support the current school board for the same reasons. But the news media, after your conference, are calling my city far-right extremists and anti-gay. The Glendale PD has recorded only one anti-LGBTQ hate crime from 2020 to 2023. This is an imagined epidemic. This is paranoia. This is a social contagion that is exploited by opportunistic politicians. All of my statements here are based on data, on numbers, on facts. But these facts hurt your feelings because they challenge your worldview. Just like that caller who chastised you, Dan, for not wearing a mask. There is zero scientific data to support her position, but she still told you that you're a bad person. It's a social contagion, and it doesn't feel good to be on the receiving end. Dan, you also previously brought up a motion to identify and eliminate divisive hate speech. But look at what that conference did. Look how it divided our city. So if you want to find an example of divisive hate speech, look at yourself and listen to yourself. The news media are calling Glendale right-wing extremists. Did these Rancho residents strike you as right-wing extremists? They're calling us outsiders. I'm born and raised here. These Rancho residents are from here. You all need to stop digging in your heels. You all need to stop twisting this knife because one day it's actually going to turn back on you. Thank you.
Next speaker.